I was wrong. I admit it. I accept the criticism. The last time I cast Reynor, I treated him as just another pro. A top pro, but just another pro nonetheless. But Reynor is a BlizzCon finalist, a champion, and indisputably a top 3 player in the world, capable of beating anyone at any time. And given his young age, he may well soon be number 1 in the world. So let's give it up for Reynor! His opponent is no slouch, the number 1 ranked player in France, number 19 in the world. He is Clem! In finalist matches, Clem has beaten the likes of titans like Mana, Showtime, Hero Marine, and Denver. But even still, he'll need to play the game of his life if he wants to even hang with Reynor. And speaking of Reynor, he's just gone hatch first. That's 16 hatch for those of you playing at home. Not unexpected on a defensive map like Eternal Empire. The first 3 bases all have above average defensibility. There's good chokes and each side gets a watchtower, so you can get solid vision over a large number of attack paths. Reynor with the 18 drone extractor, 17 drone pool. It's the standard Zerg growing horror build so far. Clem has a slight worker lead and has already started gathering gas. It helps when your workers don't have to sacrifice themselves to make buildings. Clem sends his SCV for the obligatory scout. Terran's got to make sure that Zerg natural is there. If it's not, he needs to go to DEFCON 1. But we know it's there. Whatever hell Reynor's got planned for Clem, it's coming later. The instant that barracks finishes, Clem starts a Reaper. He's also got his orbital command underway. Clem wants to be muling like yesterday. Clem's got minerals, it's gonna be a Reaper expand. He didn't wait for the scouting report, he did it blind. But he's gonna breathe a sigh of relief a second later when he sees that he was right. The corners you gotta cut to save a second when you're playing somebody of Reynor's caliber. Regardless, we're officially muling, the Reaper's about to pop, and the factory is underway. That's about as smooth as you can hope for those opening 2 minutes for Terran. But Reynor knows this timing like the back of his hand. He's already started 2 queens. The Reaper's only going to have seconds before they pop out. Clem's SCV takes up position, hoping to deny a third. Queen's halfway done, reactors begun to build on the Terran barracks. Reynor's queuing up minerals. He doesn't have much larva, and he couldn't get an easy third. He will have 4 lings spawn just as the Reaper arrives, though. He'll need his slow lings to protect the drones until the Queen can arrive. Will there be an easy snipe for the Reaper? Shots are fired, but Reynor is rotating his lings. Reynor starts the ling speed upgrade, and the Queens pop. And Clem pulls his Reaper back. Back at home, Clem executes a reactor swap. Reynor's stashed a drone to take that third. He's got the minerals, but that SCV continues to block. The Reaper's keeping the lings back. He snags one, and Clem claims the first blood as his Reaper retreats down the ramp. Terran's gonna start the Hellion production while the Zerglings chase the SCV out of the third. The Reaper has a chance to snipe the drone, but Reynor saves it and looks to convert it into a hatchery. The Lings can now pull back to the safety of the Queen, but not before Clem claims 1 more kill. Clem claims, try saying that 10 times fast. The Hellions are on their way. Reynor getting to work on his creep spread. Starport is finished and there's a tech lab on the barracks. Zerg's trying to close the net on that pesky Reaper. Clem's gonna use it to drain the maximum amount of attention that he can. But with this dragnet, it's gonna be hard to get it out alive. The Lings are closing in. Clem with the deke. There's an open ramp. Oh, but Clem doesn't trust it. He wants a cliff. But there's 2 queens down below. He's gonna try to circle around again, but he won't survive another lap. Clem drops a mine and uses it to reverse direction. This is like Mission Impossible. He's not... Oh. Reynor snares the Reaper and ends its run of glory. Meanwhile, Ling Speed is about to complete, and so is a Viking for the Terran. Clem's Hellions are looking to snipe that forward creep tuner, but the Queens have something to say about it. Reynor successfully defends the creep tuner, and to add insult to injury, he throws down another one right next to it. Reynor's up 7 workers, but Clem's got the magic of mules. Terran's enjoying an econ advantage right now, but that's about to change once Zerg's third comes online. Reynor's Overlord is going to spot the stim on that tech lab before the Viking can take it down. Pop goes the Weasel, but did Clem just throw up that stim for show? Nope, it looks legit. Reynor's got a Baneling nest, halfway to completion. And Clem's got his first medevac halfway to completion. Nope, the stim is cancelled. And the barracks gives up the tech lab. Clem's trying to throw out fake biosignals. And he's only showing half his Hellions. A lot of Zerg players say as soon as you see Terran go up to 6 Hellions, suspect mech. Clem's got 8, 4 and a medevac streaking towards the Zerg base. Reynor tries to sneak in a scouting ling. The Hellion barbecues the scouting ling, but not before it spots the starport taking the tech lab. Reynor's on to Clem. He's also on to starting up his hive. Clem's got an armory, by the way. That means those Hellions can become Hellbats. That medevac's not just a ferry boat, it's also a healer. Reynor's got 0 banelings right now. Just queens and lings. Medevac threatens the third, but it's a fake. It's sailing for the main. Meanwhile, 6 more Hellions and a Viking are gonna hit that third. Clem drops in the main. Lings and a queen are there. Hellbat transformation. Reynor's entire hotkey of 19 lings evaporates. Not a single Hellbat is lost. They're going after the queen. She's got no hit points. She's got to flee. New lings rally, but they can't face that. Back at the third, Reynor's pulled his drones, but his queens are able to transfuse one another and defend. Not so at the main, it's now undefended. Clem has a chance to get those drones. 4 queens rally at the third. Reynor should be able to clean that up. A huge pack of clumped up drones is fleeing for their lives. There's 16 in there. Somehow, Reynor's only lost 6 drones. Over 30 lings, but he doesn't care. Clem's denying mining time, but the main's become target poor. The Queen Cavalry is in full swing, and it's the end of the road for the Hellbats. Looks like the final tally is going to be 7 drone kills. Clem does have a Banshee follow-up, though. Oh, what are those drones coming back for? Big save at the last second. The Banshee arrives just as Cloak is about to complete. He's engaging those queens too early. Clem saves his Banshee with just 5 hit points left. Reynor immediately starts an Overseer and 2 Spores. Clem's got a second Banshee on the way behind this. And unless my eyes deceive me, the Hyperflight Rotors upgrade. That's the rare Banshee speed upgrade. Clem's feeling confident enough to take his third and remake his wall. Meanwhile, Reynor's researching Roach Speed, aka Galeo Reconstitution. That's not going to be a huge help against a Banshee commitment. But he is adding an Evo chamber and taking the gases at his third. And his 2 Spores have popped. I guess the Speed Roaches are essential if Clem's going to hit him again with the Hellbats. Oh, Zerg's going to try for the all-important 4th. It's a wide-open expansion. Multiple attack points, and it's even cliffable. Cliffable. That's probably not actually a word. Reynor knows he needs another look at that Terran base. He's morphing in another Overseer. Clem spots it with his returning Banshee. The Overseer's going to have a chance to see Terran's mech commitment. 2 more factories on the way. Reynor will also be able to note Terran has his third up and running, with 2 more refineries on the way. Currently, Zerg's extracting way more gas than the Terran. There are no Marines to push out Overlords here, but there is a Cyclone about to pop. Reynor's not going to see a factory. He's going to see a manufacturing district. The Cyclone's going to make quick work of that Overseer, but Reynor's probably already got his money's worth. Oh, Clem spotted the 4th. Standard operating procedure is you either need to shut that down right away, or you have to plan for late game Zerg. Clem immediately pulls all his Cyclones to the front, which means that Overseer actually got to live. It was down to 2 hit points. 1 more shot would have finished it off. But Clem is a man with urgent priorities. Right now, they're dead even in supply, but every second that 4th is up is a huge problem for Terran. It looks like a pull-apart strategy. The Banshees are going to swing to the right. They hit the Crete tumors to attract the queens. All 6 come over, but where's the Cloak? Zerg has an Overseer. The Banshees are going to be forfeit. That was one expensive distraction. The Terran Strike Force needs to capitalize. They push back Reynor's 6 Roaches, but they come right back. Almost like roaches. Clem's getting a couple of drone kills, but he's nowhere near taking down that hatch. Magfield Accelerator comes online, and the Cyclones get deadlier. But the Queens are back to defend. The window has shut. Even with the +1 upgrade lead, there's just too much Zerg. Oh my god, that Overseer managed to rescout the Terran base and get out alive. How do you know that Clem is busy? He's not giving up. He's going to try to do this, adding on Blue Flame. Reynor's going to try to counter with Banelings. He's added Baneling speed, and he's making a whole bunch of them. But if the Queens are all here defending the 4th, those Speed Banshees can get to work elsewhere. Clem's back up to the magic number 3. Reynor's managed to stockpile a huge amount of minerals and gas. If it was an ordinary player, I'd say he was behind on his macro. But with Reynor, you know it's deliberate. And there it is. He's started a Nidus network. Oh, and he's cut off the Terran with Banelings! Oh, Clem with the mech split. That was still pretty bad for him. Everything's deep in the red. His broken army has to run from the fresh roaches. He could really use those Banshees for a rescue right now. Oh, this is terrible timing for Terran to take his 4th. The Banshees decide to stop fighting Overseers and Queens. They will fare much better against the non-upshooting roaches. The Banshee trio moves to intercept. This is probably a terrible time for me to mention that Reynor has an infestation pit. I think his huge money glob is going to be for a round of swarm hosts. Oh, the Banshees just missed the Roachbane. Reynor with the perfectly timed escape. He has defended his fourth and made Clem pay for the attempt. For the moment, they're still equal in supply, and they've both got around 80 workers. Well, those Banshees gotta stop fighting queens. It's the only thing on the field they're not great against. They will spot Reynor trying to take a fifth. Will Reynor be fast enough with the cancel? He's bringing the queens. He's gonna try and save it. It's gonna be close. No, there's the cancel. Oh, and Clem snipes the drone right in front of the queens. OMG, did you see that? That overseer managed to burp out a changeling right as it was blowing up. But hello, the Nidus has just wormed its way into our hearts. And some cute little mushroom guys are going inside. Fun fact, a Nidus worm can actually hold 1,020 units. Reynor's gonna load it with slightly less. He's using a pair of lings to get him vision just outside the Terran natural. The speed Banshees are on it, but can they get there in time? They are very far away, and a mech army just can't be that responsive. Too late, the worm is live! The swarm hosts emerge. All 8 of them. Clem has a trio of Hellions convert to Hellbats. It's a dump and run! The swarm hosts unload their locusts and escape back inside. Meanwhile, Reynor's gonna strike at the 4th. He's trying to hit before the tanks can siege up. Clem's gone for an orbital, not a planetary. Reynor's gonna drop worm number 2 just outside the 4th, but Clem's gonna see it right away and deal with it, fending off the roaches with his cyclones. Worm falls. Swarm host locust lasts for 18 seconds, and the spawn locust ability has a cooldown of 43 seconds. That means there's a 25-second window, where the swarm hosts are a non-factor. Otherwise, they dominate the game. This game is now really about what happens in those 25-second intervals. Holy moly, that last second changeling has let a new worm spawn right in the Terran base. Clem's gotta pull his army back to deal with it. He's gonna get it, but he's gonna be completely pulled out of position. Clem's got a huge amount of his composition tied up in tanks right now. With their immobility, I'm not really sold on them as the answer to Swarm Host. Reynor making another Nidus worm, this time right outside the 4th. Did I mention that 4th is just an orbital? Terran can see the Nidus building. He's got control of the watchtower and has vision from it. He's gonna choose Thors to max out the rest of his supply. Reynor finds the perfect ledge to launch his swarm host. They're just millimeters outside the watchtower vision. That would be 22 locusts flying for the Terran 4th. Clem has 200 supply, but not for long. Reynor's gonna intensify this with his Roach Ravager Baneling. Steel slams against carbon-based polymer. There's carnage everywhere. Corrosive biles hitting the sieged up tanks. And somehow when the dust settles, they're on even army size. In fact, it's Clem with more workers. Yet somehow it feels like Reynor has taken the momentum of this game. There's a Hellbat drop at the natural. Clem knows he's in the 25-second interval. He's got to make the most of it. He brings his more mobile mech pieces up the ramp and goes after the worm. Oh, Reynor's just parked his swarm hosts. They could be vulnerable. Nope. That gang of perpetually transfusing queens is here to push Terran back. Clem will shut down the Nidus, though. But does it really matter if the swarm hosts are just gonna hang out outside the Terran base anyway? Terran's 25-second respite is over. Reynor takes position to launch the next wave of locusts. Clem prepares to weather the storm. He's gonna expand behind this. Once again, he's maxed, but not for long. He's trying to dump his excess money into missile turrets, but they're not gonna happen. The Baneling follow-up is here. The tanks have to hit those Banes. The Baneling split off and clean out Clem's mineral line. The orbital has to lift off. Still, Terran survives. And he's got such a formidable bank, he can immediately rebuild. Clem's strategy is to add Liberators into his composition. Judging by the huge number of lings he's adding, Reynor's thinking, more Banelings. Clem's gonna try to fight his way up the choke so he can get at those swarm hosts. Oh, he's bottlenecked. He's really gonna regret not getting rid of those rocks earlier. How was he supposed to know that choke point would be pivotal? He finally gets his army up top, but the swarm hosts have reloaded. At least he can force them to spawn their locusts defensively. Better up here than at his mineral line. Oh, Clem gets bottled up on the choke on his way out. He can't withdraw fast enough and the locusts will force a fight. Clem will clean that up and rebuild, but his once mighty bank is looking a little softer. Reynor has re-hid his recuperating swarm hosts. Off on the right-hand side, Clem doesn't know about it. Those liberation circles are certainly going to help out, but that's what corrosive bile is for. Uh-oh. Those hidden swarm hosts are going to be in position to set up a sandwich. Reynor, you devious one. If Clem's mech army overextends, it's gonna get cut off. He gets the Nidus snipe, but really it's just a hood ornament. Reynor's not using it anymore. The swarm hosts are armed and are moving in for the backstab. If you're hearing the Jaws theme song in your head, it's not just you. Oh, the Terran army turns around and gets a face full of locusts. Clem is trapped in a vice. His supply drops 20 points in seconds. That might be a TSN turning point. Reynor's got his first significant lead of this game. One positive for Clem is he's building his 4th redundant command center. That is a healthy sign. Oh, but it won't count for much if Reynor just rips it to shreds. Zerg's not bothering to wait for locust waves anymore. He's just attacking. Clem has kept up his harass throughout all of this, but his drone killing might just be freeing up supply for the Zerg. This deep into the game, Zerg doesn't really want to be on 80 drones anymore. Oh, the swarm hosts are just openly prancing around the Terran 4th now. Prancing? Is that something Zerg can actually do? Well, what he can do is get a wicked concave. Clem's retreated back to his ramp, which is a good defensive move, but his 4th is exposed. Clem's only got 1 Banshee left to harass. Reynor's making roaches 7 at a time. He's converting them into Ravagers, and they're dealing very well with the tanks. He's two-shotting the tanks with corrosive biles. Clem has officially abandoned his 4th. He's trying to make a stand at his 3rd. Can he hold? Reynor's rallying his roaches straight to the front at this point. Clem is down to his last 3 tanks. He's investing in a pair of Liberators to see if that can help him stabilize. Oh, he actually thought about sending his orbital command back to his 4th, but thought better of that once he saw what was out there. God, the swarm hosts are armed again! 20 locusts headed for the 3rd. They don't need to fight their way up the ramp. Clem has started a hidden expansion in the bottom right. He's dropping all his mules there. Maybe that could prop him up until he finds a way to hang on. But the supply deficit has just reached 70, and Reynor is not letting up. The Zerg is constricting its prey like a serpent. Terran is slowly running out of places to retreat to, since Terran's mined out at his main and his natural. Clem's really down to those 2 bases on the right-hand side. Oh, Reynor's figured it out. He's swinging right. There is a planetary that could buy him some time, but he needs the repair hug. Oh, 10 corrosive biles on that planetary. It's completely immolated. I've never seen a planetary go down that fast while being repaired. That was an instant conflagration for the ages. And the swarm hosts are rearmed. Clem is on death's door. Reynor is near maxed again. Liberation targeting circles are here again, but there's too many corrosive biles. Reynor has a 100-point supply lead, double the army. Clem's tenacity has been impressive. He's fighting for France, but there's the GG. Clem reads the writing on the wall, and Reynor is victorious. Although it devolved into a slaughter, this was a close game for a good chunk of time. Somehow Reynor willed his way to victory. The greats always seem to do that. But before we go, I need to point out some certified micro moments. We haven't had any for a while, but there were definitely some in this game. First off, Clem and his Hellbat drop on the main. I know what you're thinking. Of course it looked good. Hellbats counter speedlings pretty hard. But he fought and killed 17 lings in that initial assault. And by the time the first Hellion actually falls, those Hellions have 37 kills on them. Normally, that kind of efficiency means you've won the game. But not if your opponent's Reynor, apparently. But we can at least declare this a certified micro moment. Okay, my official stamp sound is not very impressive. But you get the idea. But it would be wrong of me not to acknowledge the coolness that Reynor brought to this game. Now I know what you're thinking. Actually, I don't, because I probably don't know you and I don't know what goes on in your head. But you might be thinking that Baneling hit. Remember that Baneling backstab that saved Zerg's 4th? That was pretty boss, and it was pretty important to the game. But I've seen a lot of top Zergs do that before. As good as it was, in the immortal words of Shania Twain, that don't impress me much. But this Changeling drop was above and beyond. All the crap Reynor's got going on, somehow he manages to get a Changeling out in the exact moment his Overseer dies. I mean, that's only supposed to happen in a Hollywood movie or something. I got this down to 1/10 speed here, and you can actually see the Overseers exploding as the Changeling's coming out. And of course it just sits there like a lump because there's nothing for it to morph into until much later in the game. And you think it's completely unimportant, and at least I did, until later, Reynor uses it to get vision for his Nidus worm. Now the Nidus certainly wasn't a game changer by any stretch, but it did force Clem to pull his mobile army back at a time he really didn't want to be doing that. So I leave room for the possibility that the Changeling drop was really just a freak accident, but this is Reynor we're talking about, and so I think it's a certified micro moment. Now there's so much more I could say about this game, but clearly I've abused all the time I'm entitled to. So maybe if you're so inclined, you can join me in some discussion on how this game played out in the comments below. That reminds me, I wanted to send a shout out and a thank you to fellow SC2 enthusiast James Irwin, whose comments have prevented me from going insane, staring into the dark vacuum of empty space that most new YouTube channels face. Glad we could get him a VOD featuring a great Zerg player. So, until next week, permit me to remind you to live life, because nobody wants to die in hold position.
To continue your Starcraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Of course, you could always season upgrade and subscribe to Zugzang Starcraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.